Alright. Welcome back to another StarCraft 2 game, everybody. Well, the patch has just gone live, and we've seen Cyclones running rampant, proxied, built inside their base. Sometimes they go quick 3 base and they make 50 Cyclones. Sometimes there's a factory built literally inside your base, and Cyclones appear from nowhere. But no matter what, it's Cyclones, and Protoss and Zerg players have both been going, oh my god, what the hell do I do against this? Many people hopping in my Twitch chat today saying, oh, I lost 400 MMR. And I think the solution is actually a little bit simpler than what is kind of being told. Most people are being told, make Blink Stalkers. It solves everything. Just 2-base Blink Stalker and start picking off those Cyclones for free. I've seen people do this. I've seen Hearthstone do this. I've seen a lot of pros do this, and it works really well. If you're a pro gamer. And if you're not, I think it's very difficult. And this is backed up by my experience yesterday on the ladder, because I already had this feeling. And then I hopped on. I did some very, very poorly executed Cyclone all-ins. And just some 2-base mass Cyclone, 3-base mass Cyclone, and I was rolling over Protoss players who played Blink. And we're talking, you know, high masters, low GM players, not pro gamers, but still pretty high level, and yet they just were getting overrun. Even they'd win a fight, I felt like I was losing, and the next fight I'd just roll over them and crush them, and it didn't feel like I had to do too much as the Terran, whereas the Protoss players, it felt like there wasn't much room for error. Now, that's very, very problematic, because if you're in Gold League or Platinum League and you're trying to make Blink Stalkers, well, I can almost guarantee you're going to lose to the Cyclone player. It's just easier to play the Cyclones. So I've actually got a better solution, or at least an easier solution, I guess is what we should call this, which is play Robo. Robo first is a really underused opening that is so good in this matchup. You get so much vision with observers, and it's especially good at shutting down Cyclones because you can get out early Immortals. Now, this is a really peculiar game. I'm playing versus Estrella, and because I scouted a gasless build, I actually saw, I'll kind of take it off my camera for a second. Notice how I saw, I don't want to show the full vision so you guys can kind of get inside my head, right? But notice no gases there. So I went, you know what, let's try and take a quick third. So I've dropped a third Nexus, I start a Sentry, and then I go, nah, I don't really need it. Start a Stalker instead, while my Adept goes to Scout, and a Robo goes down. Now, the Robo's a bit late because I squeezed in that super quick third Nexus. So even though I had an inkling, hey, Estrella's playing Terran, he's probably mass cycloning, I was like, okay, we've got to make sure we still scout, play as greedy as I normally would. And this is even greedier than I normally would play. But look at that, guys, that's a factory. So we've just clicked on a factory there. We saw that that was a factory inside his base, and that's a massive tell. Second factory means this man is playing Cyclones for show. We get 2 SCVs, get out, build a pylon at home. And I am going to be wanting to get out an Immortal very, very quickly. Now, if you can squeeze out an Observer, that's great. But because his factory's already landed on the reactor before my Robo's finished, I figure I need to go Immortal first this game. I'm pretty sure I go Immortal first this game. Let's find out. Please click the Immortal ping. There we go. I just saw the Immortal start up and get chrono boosted. So we've got an Adept, a Stalker, another Stalker coming out, an Immortal. And we are chronoing probes on 3 Nexi, dropping a shield battery on the natural as well. Now, the Robo, normally, like I said, you would go for just Robo as your first tech structure. Going for this quick third base, I would not advise. But I think this is a great example of a game where I'm playing super greedy with no assumption that, oh, it's just a simple Cyclone all in. I still think, hey, there could be a third command center by this. I'm going to keep probing during this. I'm not going to just try and blind counter this or anything like that. And I think one of the things a lot of people don't realize is that Cyclone range is nowhere near what it used to be. Notice those Cyclones, just by pulling back my units a little bit, the lock-on gets broken. It used to only be if you got out of vision, the lock-on would break. It used to be 14 lock-on range, now it's 9 lock-on range. Keeping in mind that I want to be a greedy boy, because I don't know if this is a macro game afterwards or not, I've gone Twilight and Forge, which, in hindsight, knowing what Australia does in this game is a little bit greedy, guys. It's a little bit greedy. It's going to make things way harder than they need to be. But I'm showing you the power of the Immortal. So we've got an Immortal, we've got a couple of Observers coming out, and I'm going to go second Robo. And the reason is second Robo is never bad, but especially if they open 2 factories, it is amazing, because being able to produce more Immortals, more Observers, get a Warp Prism out easily without cutting Immortal production, it's going to do really well. And doing all this off just 2 gates might seem a little bit light, but as long as you're pumping Immortals nonstop, a Robo is similar production levels to 2 gateways. In terms of like how much money you can invest into it, it chews through a lot of money and pumps out very powerful units. So we're going to build some more pylons there. That Immortal popped out. We start up another Immortal. And my Observer just got scanned. So we just looked over there. There was a big pack of Cyclones. I'm like, okay, just confirming my suspicions. A second Observer is just popping in over there. I think I'm going to look at it in a moment. Just taking gases on the third. Now, normally taking gases on the third, when I haven't seen a third command center, that is very, very greedy. But we're going to start making a lot of gateways. We should have charge on the way now as well. And I think I just saw an army move across the map. Oh, yeah. Yeah, his army definitely just moved out. I check it now and go, oh, okay, he's coming. He's coming for me. We've got more Immortals coming. We're going to put a few workers on these gases just because I am so gas-starved with this opening. Chronoing +1. And that charge has only just started. So I did forget to start charge. That Twilight was finished quite a while ago. And that's really costing me. Notice I've got the force field available, and that's a single force field ramp. So I'm trying to threaten here. I don't want to get hit by the tank. We're going to move back and forth and try to buy time. Because I have played incredibly greedy. In hindsight, this is clearly a 2-base all-in. He's even pulling SCVs. And I have gone to 63 workers, 3 bases full. I'm trying to get to charge lots and Archons to support my double Immortal production. But I'm in trouble. I'm trying to remember to keep building pylons in the midst of this because often you lose pylons against these pushes, and getting supply blocked in the middle of a push is terrible. Looking at it now, I realize I don't really have that many pylons up front, but oh no, I tried to get an Immortal to the 3rd because I felt that side didn't have much going for it other than the 2 Immortals that were there. I lose an Immortal and a Stalker, and I only get 1 Cyclone. He's even bringing his barracks on the left, and he's going to land that on the ground, and you can see I'm frantically trying to spread my units on both sides, and I'm like, oh, I think I have to go. I've got to scare him back. But the problem is his position's so good. So I'm losing a lot of units here. I have to pop battery overcharge, and I decide, you know what, I better just do it. And I end up going in. Unfortunately, my sentries went down before overcharge could go down. But the Immortals on the left side going in and focusing down the siege tank over there. The Immortals on the right are all getting taken out. And you know what the real tragedy is, guys? My charge is about to finish. You can see it on the right side of the screen. It's a few seconds away. What a disaster of a game. I've messed up so much. I'm losing all the probes behind my 3rd, and I'm like, oh, no. Oh, man. It's such a good economic start, but I just got a bit too greedy. But you know what? He's only 2 base all in. He's pulled a lot of SCVs, and as long as I keep making units, maybe, just maybe. Now, I could have pulled that Immortal back a little bit quicker. If you see all their units lock on one of your units, trying to click it and pull it back is really good for, like I said, breaking those lock-ons. So in general, you can always look at your front-running units and choose to select one of those and pull it back. It's a nice bit of bonus micro. It's not essential, but if you're ever in a stiff spot, a hard spot, you need to make something happen, that's the way to do it. Now notice the Zealots and the Archons don't take damage because the Cyclones do bonus to mechanical. So I'm trying to get those Archons back. I need to build a new battery, and look at that. The Immortals, especially on the ledge, and now that he doesn't have the barracks, are so scary for him. He's pulling more SCVs in right now, but Archons absolutely destroy SCVs. The Immortal's trying to focus fire his Cyclones, while my Archon Zealot wrecks all of those SCVs. And I'm feeling like, okay, maybe we're actually doing this. I squeeze in a few probes here. In the midst of it, you can see I'm trying to transfer probes from my main over to my 3rd base to replace the probes that I lost. And I'm starting to split my units up a little bit, but oh, he's still going. He's still got Cyclones on the front, and now there's a tank there. So I split my Immortal and the Archon on the left side. You can see the Zealots and the Archon coming in from the right. He accidentally killed the Ursadak there. I think that was the male Ursadak on this map, not the female one. That's, you know, he's like, oh, no, I wouldn't hurt the female Ursadak. Chivalry isn't dead, mate. Anyway, Cyclones are here. And, oof, I'm still losing my army, and I'm realizing, man, maybe I shouldn't be probing so hard. My supply's not so good. I've got so few units. Losing Immortals like this is really bad. And the thing is, Immortal play is amazing at defending Cyclones, but you should be very careful with the numbers. If you're not reinforcing your army for a little while, you want to hug your shield batteries and be very careful, because their army can produce very quickly with Cyclones. They're kind of like swarming roaches or lings in, and you've got to be so wary of that. Now let's go back here to everyone's vision, guys. Do I not? I'm trying to go back to everyone's vision. It's not letting me. I guess I don't. Wait, what? Okay, there we go. Anyway, check this out, guys. What's really key about this game, there's a certain upgrade, which I didn't mention too much, but +1 was done. I'm not sure exactly when +1 finished. It looked like it was kind of during this first fight, so even though charge wasn't done, what's so important is look at this. A Cyclone has 110 hit points, no armor, and you, when +1 kicks in, start doing 55 damage a shot, which means the Immortals will two-shot the Cyclones. So he had a really good timing. This was really well positioned by him as well. If I'd waited for charge and +1, I think this would have been super one-sided in my favor, but I pulled the trigger too early. I felt a bit too much pressure from the way his Cyclones were poking in and out. And it just goes to show why you do want to try and make sure going for +1, as nice as it is to two-shot Cyclones, it's probably easier to just skip that entirely against the two-base player and only really think about upgrades if you think they're going for a 3rd and beyond. And then you could go double forge. Because if I just had more Immortals, had my charge earlier, maybe had a few Archons, it's a way easier hold. Even though the +1 attack seems attractive, I actually would not prioritize this. I think this makes this way harder than it needs to be. I also think if you scout your opponent on 2 base, you do not need 2 gases on your 3rd. You don't need 63 probes. You can stop at 55 or 60 workers, and your life is going to be so much easier. Alright guys, so I wanted to show you a little bit of this next game I played against Australia as well. This time just showing from everyone's view because he gives me a bit more of a normal opening. He goes Barracks Gas this time, and this gets him Marine first. He skips the Reaper, which gets him a super early factory. And with these builds, you can get out very fast aggression. And it could be Hellions, or Cyclones, or Widow Mines, and he even proxies a starport. So there are a lot of things to worry about. So I think what's really important is to pay attention to a few things with the Protoss build. Notice in this game, I'm doing a more standard opening. Gateway, Nexus, Cybercore, get the second gas, second pylon. Seems all normal, but I messed some things up in this game, and this makes this one way harder. So keep an eye out for these mistakes. First things first, Stalker and Warp Gate. That's 50 gas, that's 50 gas. This delays your Robo a lot. Go Adept first into Warp Gate. It'll allow you to scout easier with that Adept, and saves you 25 gas to get the Robo. You also can even delay Warp Gate and go for the Robo first, then add Warp Gate, which I think is a really good way of making sure you have time to get your Observer out, get scouting, and then go into the Immortal without getting punished for it. I didn't do that this game, and you're going to see why it punishes me quite a bit. Now, looking at my scouting, I run across the map with a Stalker to try and see what's going on, because I did see Marine first. I know it's not a Reaper, so I figure I can go see what's happening. And I run in and see a few Hellions. Now, trying to get some damage on the Hellions is usually a good idea with the Stalker because you can outrange them, but once he pulls his SCV forward as well, I figure no point taking damage, just recall that home. And you know what, it could be a Hellion drop, it could be an attack on the front, and I decided, you know what, I'll chrono an Immortal after this Observer, I'll make Stalkers, I've got that second gate no later than 3 minutes, let's just get those to the front, I'll build a shield battery in the main, so if there's a Hellion drop, at least I've got a bit of healing. This is a big mistake, because even previously, I would say the shield battery in the natural is always more important because you never know if those Hellions are going to drive in the front or not. The shield battery at the natural just helps at the more important location, but especially in the Cyclone meta, you should always be building the shield battery there. So because my Observer was late, that means my Immortal is late. It also means because my Observer is late, I don't see this push coming as quickly. And oh my lord, I'm panicking. I try to drop a battery. I've got 4 Stalkers, but oh, he's got Hellions and SCVs, and I basically actually end up holding. You can see this fight's actually really good for me. I lose, I think, like 2 or 3 probes. And I actually kill 4 SCVs. I kill a Cyclone. I almost get his Hellion. It's actually a really good fight. The problem is, because the battery wasn't done, it was just more stressful than it needed to be. And some of you may have noticed the minimap and heard that sound. Yes. I noticed only after the fight was over that a Liberator killed 17 workers. So just keep in mind, against any reactor factory build, in the early stage, well, not only do you want to have your Robo timing nice and tight so you can squeeze the Observer out to get vision early and still have an Immortal on time, but number 2, always build the battery on the natural against an early reacted factory. And if you guys want a timer in mind, about 3:30 is a good moment to start that shield battery. It's just going to make defending all the early pressures much easier. It's a really nice safety precaution to help you guys out, especially in the Cyclone meta. This game was actually really funny because I felt really far behind. I was like, well, I'm probably dead, but I'll try to take a third, be greedy, and I'll chrono a Prism and see if I can get some counter damage. And I actually got a lot of counter damage. I killed 2 depots here. And then I pick up the Immortals. I go for a drop. I kill a siege tank. He tries to drop Cyclones on me to punish. And I kill both Cyclones. And I don't lose any Immortals. I also kill the medevac. That was an insanely good trade for me. And I'm actually in a decent position where there's a chance of recovering here. But unfortunately, I didn't realize I actually saw 3 barracks just then. And I should know that it's a bio play. So I should have probably dropped a Robo Bay and tried to start pumping out, you know, Colossus. Or maybe just go on mass charge Archon. As you can see, I go charge in Templar Archives. I might have been able to get back in it if I just committed to nothing but charge Archon off this. Yeah, I might have been able to run over him. But he ends up pushing and killing me about a minute from now. So hats off to Australia for a very good game. But those small couple of fixes and not, you know, even if I just pulled probes away from the Liberator this game, I would have been in a really good spot. Alright guys, so I wanted to show you this other game. This is actually SOS from versus Australia, and they played just about half an hour after I played that last game. And it was the exact same build from Australia. Hides his command center on the high ground and goes for 2 Hellions into 2 Cyclones with a proxy starport. Now, SOS wasn't sure if he was getting all in, so he'd already gone for a really quick second gate, but he has the same thought process where he says, hey, I don't know what the hell's going on here. It's probably some weird Cyclone all in. Let's just drop that Robo for safety. Not only that, but what about that shield battery I was talking about? Turns out, according to SOS, 3 minutes 30 is exactly the correct timing. So it was kind of nice for me to see this and go, okay, I thought, you know, you come up with a plan, but you haven't put it into action and seen it succeed yet. you see someone else do the same plan and it succeeds perfectly, and you're like, okay, I'm very confident now. And he seemed to have some really good game sense, because right before the attack came in, he actually split 2 Stalkers into his main, and it's like he knew exactly what was happening. Just next level game knowledge from him. Shuts down the attack on both sides, kills a bunch of SCVs and a Liberator, loses nothing but 1 Adept, and he's way ahead. Alright, the final game I'm going to show you all is my final game versus Straya from earlier today, where we go for an Adept, we skip Warp Gate, so we're putting into action all those mistakes we made in the last game. We're fixing that, we're going, look at that, Robo down before 2 minutes 20, then we can start the Warp Gate. The Robo technically could have been even faster than that. And we're just probing on up confidently. We're going to go across the map with an Adept Scout and kind of see exactly what's going on. And I think game 1, I won, but I was so greedy, right? Unnecessarily so. And I made it more difficult than I needed to be, as well as forgetting charge for a little while made things very difficult. So game 2, my Robo was a little late. There was no shield battery on the natural. Let's see if I fix those mistakes in this game. Already we fixed the Robo timing. Hopefully, we're chrono boosting the Robo the moment it finishes, making an Observer, making an Immortal. Because as we can see on the other side of this map, it is going to be a double factory follow-up. And I believe this is to that gasless build once again by the looks of it. He walled me out, so I actually thought I might be getting 1 based here. I thought either 1 base or something else. I'm not exactly sure what's happening. And this Adept are really important to verify what's happening and how hard I need to react. So we get in, we see a command center floating down, and I realize, oh, okay, it is just kind of a 1-Rax expand style build. No worries. Get a little bit of damage done with the Adept. Then we just kind of cancel that shade and run away. Cancel the shade? Yeah. We see the reactor on the factory, and I'm like, okay, no worries. Now I've built an Observer that's going out. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough money for the Immortal straight away. We do finally start that up, and that Observer will go across the map to scout in just a moment. Extra pylon coming down, and I'm once again thinking about taking a 3rd base. Now, this is where if you wanted to be conservative, you could probably stay on 2 base. Make, probe up 2 bases, get double Robo, get the 2 gate, go Twilight, and then just do 2 base. Like, you probably don't even need to go 2nd. I mean, if you're going to do that, probably stay single Robo if you're 2 base, I think. But just never have any breaks in Immortal production, like non-stop Immortal, lots of chrono on it, and then join it up once you get your gases saturated, get up to 8 gateways, Templar Archives, and go for a big charge lot arc on Immortal timing off 2 base. That's an easy way to play, and I think that's a really simple way that's like going to be nice and controlled against Cyclone players for lower level people. But this is just more of a general way of me saying, I'm still going to take a 3rd. And then my Observer gets there and confirms, okay, it's not just a factory, it's 3 factories. Oh, he's committing super hard on 2 base. But I'm not going to cancel my 3rd. I'm still going to try and use that. But we're going to make it a bit simpler. Notice there's no Forge. I go 2nd Robo after the Twilight. So Twilight, 2nd Robo. No Forge. And we're just going to keep on probing up. Now, here's actually a really good move as well. Let's go back a little bit in this replay. So he came across the map and he made a bit of a mistake here, guys. He tries to do a little Cyclone pressure. And look at that. We managed to kill one of those Cyclones. And then I quickly move across the map. Why? Because I've got vision. And I figure if I just run out of the fog, I could like kill a Cyclone and then just run away. And now he's also scared because he's like, oh God, am I getting pushed? What's happening? He doesn't know about the 3rd base. He thought I was probably going to take that 3rd. So he's very confused about what's happening. And the next part of the build, we got the 2 gases and we start to add those gateways. So what's interesting is if you're building Immortals out of 2 Robos, the amount of production that is insane. You can dump so much money into that. You don't really need 8 gateways on 2 base. Only once you start getting the 3rd base up do you need more gateways. And I'm not non-stop building probes. Notice I'm prioritizing gateways and Immortal production. Why? Because I've scouted a lot of production on 2 base. I know this sort of attack's going to be coming. And my Observer just died. I know there's an attack coming out at me. So I'm already at 50 probes. I could build a couple more, but I really don't need to press it much further than that. The higher priority is build Immortals and build Zealots. And I think 6 or 7 gates is probably a little bit more well-rounded than just 5. And as you see, I will add a 6th gateway there as well. And we're just going to try and add charge lots and Immortals. And this is so good at stopping any sort of Cyclone all-in. Cyclones are going to come forward. Now, you're going to be really careful. Do not let your Immortals get split up. You want to keep them in sort of a line like that so they all shoot at the same time. And I'm trying to move forward to scare him back because I know he has a siege tank. I saw that with my Observer. And I'm like, okay, don't let him take a good siege position. So we run up, we kill a Cyclone, and we quickly run away. Now, I, with the high ground advantage, feel I can still hold him back for maybe another 20 seconds. But not too long because I need to wait for charge and I need to get more Immortals out. Now, here I make a big mistake. I split my army up to try and damage the barracks. And he realizes, hey, I have such a numbers advantage. I can just take this fight first, the Immortals. Notice I pull the weaker mortal back there, and it actually even gets a few more shots off. But those units do all get picked off, and at the end of the day, I feel like, man, I just gave away a lot of my important units. Luckily, he pulls his SCVs in from, I think, the wrong side. That might have been a genius move where he was trying to get behind my Immortals and stop them from retreating. And that would have worked out. It would have been great. It would have felt really, really good if I was on pure Immortal. But the charge lots kill so many of those SCVs. And even losing 3-4 Immortals already, I still feel like I'm in a really good position. Look at the units lost tab. I've killed so many SCVs, and I just need to keep making Zealots and Immortals, and we'll clean this up. Notice my third base, not full of workers, just 8 or 9 workers. No Forge this game. I accidentally made Resonating Glaives. That is a mistake, and we're going to go for it. Notice I attacked from the left side. The reason is I had a battery healing those Immortals, and then I brought my units in from the right. Try to pull the Zealots back. I try not to get too strung out chasing for too far. But just whenever he commits into me, I'll let the Zealots charge into him, make a connection, let my Immortals get a hit off, and then I'll pull the Zealots back and then the Immortals back after pulling the Zealots back. So you want those Zealots, every now and then you can just control click them, and when you control click them, right click them back once they chase too far. See? Pull the Zealots back, and then I let the Immortals go forward, and then I regroup them. Now in this case, if they try to run around, it's really good to do backstabs, especially if they're all in. So I split all my Zealots off to just attack move towards his base. At the same time, we've got the battery healing the Nexus, the Immortal Stalker Zealot is going to move over there, and those Cyclones are going to try and pull back, but the Zealots are on top from that side as well. And you can see at this point, I feel very confident because he's pulled so many SCVs. I'm like, he can't have a third command center behind this. He's super duper all in, and I get a little wasteful with this chase for sure, but it's not the end of the world. We're going to throw away a bunch of units, and I think what you guys are seeing and what I'm trying to show you guys is against especially very dedicated Cyclone all-ins, Robos make your life easy, but as a general build order, it's not bad. And as we finish up this game and I close it out, I just want to highlight that fact. Opening up with a few observers into Twilight and Blink, totally fine. Hero does this all the time, and then he goes Psystorm with it. He likes to go observers for vision, get Blink for even more control while securing his third base, and use an Immortal or two if needed to help in the early game. And his Blink's maybe a minute late, but it doesn't really matter too much. And then he adds Psystorm, and he does it all with information, so he can always adapt as needed. And that's what I think is going to be the big game changer with this build, is you don't fly an Oracle in and lose it to Cyclones and go, oh crap, oh no, I'm screwed. So I think it's a very solid build, even against Bio going Robo first, and I think it is amazing against any of these. Even Estrella says at the end, GG, solid, easy-looking defense, and he was like, man, I thought this would be a little bit harder to stop. As I said, he even tried that game versus SOS after these games, and it didn't work, and he went back to Protoss and ended up winning the series. Well, I hope this helped you guys and girls out, and I'm going to follow up with some info on Zerg, as well as any more lessons we get on just how to hold the Cyclone with all the races, and my thoughts on the balance patch, as I'm preparing a video for that right now. But there's a lot of thoughts, a lot of things to digest, and I'm casting, watching, and playing so many games to really figure out what the hell is going on in this ever so complicated brand new patch of StarCraft. Thanks for watching, goodbye and good night.